Sinabela online, what we are going to look at today is writing in a first person or third person narrative. Now, what is a narrative? A narrative is basically the voice in which you will be writing in, the voice in which you are composing either your writing, whatever it may be that you are composing this in a perspective. So first person narrative is in the first person, that I am going to this and this is how I felt and this is what he felt and this is what we were doing. The second person narrative is when you're saying things like he and she. And the third person narrative is when you're saying them, where you become an outsider in the story and then you are writing to the best of your ability as an outsider about a certain situation and so forth. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes now to write that down. First person narrative. You're writing from the perspective of yourself. It should be quite helpful that it's first person narrative in this perspective of yourself. First one only. The perspective of yourself. You are saying how you feel about the situation, how you feel towards the situation and so forth. Second personality, second person narrative, they and he and she, think of possessive nouns. And third person narrative, you are saying them, they, you saw them, they were going here and they went to the shop and this is what is happening within this story and this is what's going to happen next and so forth and so on and so on and so on and so on. You are then saying they. Okay, so I want you to write down your definition of the narrative yourself. I'm going to give you 2 minutes for that. Fantastic. Now you've written that down. Now I want you to begin to write in first person about the happiest time in your life. So the happiest time in your life that you felt extremely happy in the first person. The saddest time in your life, still in first person. Let's keep going. Phenomenal. Okay, now I want you to begin to write this same thing in the third person as an outsider. Splendid. Now I want you to think to yourself, how does it differ? How do you know this was first person? How do you know this was second person? I'm going to third person. I want to get you to highlight the words in the passages that you've created yourself that demonstrate it is either first person or third person. So repetitive words such as I will demonstrate that it's in first person. Repetitive words like they, them, we will demonstrate that it's third person. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to go over that yourself. Great, that should take you a few minutes. Now you've done that, I want you to brainstorm the pros and the cons. So the benefits of writing in first person and the benefits of writing in third person and the disadvantages of writing in first person and the disadvantages of writing in third person. Me personally, I believe that writing in first person gives you a perspective. You feel connected to the reader. You feel engaged. You feel engaged with the person that's reading your work. You are totally drawn in to how they are feeling and what they feel and what they're going through and their emotions and so on. But the negative part of that is that you don't get to see anybody else's perspective. It is one-sided, potentially seen as biased. Third person, however, there is no biasness. You are from a bird's eye view and you are literally just telling a story based around what you can see, but not only from your perspective, from John's perspective, from Amy's perspective, from Nigel's perspective. Everybody is potentially getting a point to talk. The disadvantages of that is that it may not be personal enough. You may not be connected enough to the reader. So there are some pros and cons within first person narrative and third person and second person narrative as well. And depending on what the topic you're talking about, you then choose the voice you want to speak in, and then you can then measure the process on how effective this has been when you are choosing the voice of that or the voice of this. And in relation to, let's say, if you're talking about something very deep like a suicidal attempt, you may not necessarily want to write in third person. And if you did, it could still be very powerful, but you can see how it can be even more powerful when it is written in the first person. In relation to a family affair or family problem that's going on, you have to then think to yourself, what is written in the first person or third person? What will be of benefit? Who's going to be able to speak? Who has the voice? Who has the voice? Who has the final say? Who's able to speak? Whose perspective are we hearing it from? We're hearing it from everybody's perspective. Then we, as the readers, have the power to then decide whose leg or whose not leg, pardon me, but whose voice we want to listen to. Okay, so for homework, I want you to discover how you can write in the second person, because we haven't gone over that together. I want you to see how you can write in the second person, and if you can find an example of writing in the second person as well, that shall be fantastic. Awesome.